An orphan girl named Reiko travels to the cave of the 5,000-year-old dragon she believes to be the great evil dragon in order to offer herself as a human sacrifice in exchange for him protecting her village from the Demon King. In actuality, the dragon is named Ravendea, a peaceful and cowardly dragon who has a vegetarian diet and is in constant disbelief that humans think he is a powerful and intimidating dragon to be feared and worshipped. Ravendea just tells Reiko to go home to her village, but Reiko insists on being eaten, or else she will kill herself in disgrace for being a failed human sacrifice. Ravendea pretends to have eaten her soul, but the lie backfires since Reiko believes she is now Ravendea's life-bonded disciple. Ravendea returns Reiko to her village and sees that the entire village fears him like he is a godlike deity, much to his dismay. Ravendea plays the part of the great evil dragon to make sure that Reiko will be treated well by the village and then tries to leave in the hopes of returning to his cave for a few hundred years until everyone forgets he existed. However, Reiko's friend, a boy named Reito, shows up and attacks Ravendea, furious that Reiko no longer has a soul. Ravendea sees Reito's care for Reiko and is now satisfied he can leave, only for a pack of dark wolves to suddenly attack the village. Ravendea is expected by the villagers to defeat the wolves, even as he is secretly terrified he is about to die. To his shock, Reiko steps up and defeats the dark wolves on her own, as the perspective that she no longer has a soul and is a disciple of Ravendea unlocks her latent powerful magical abilities. The village gathers around a night fire to celebrate surviving the dark wolves, and Ravendea explains to Reito that Reiko's powerful abilities are the result of her magical potential rather than a soul bond with her, only to be rejected by a furious Reito. Reiki sees Reito's disrespectful attitude towards her dragon master and tells her master her history with Reito. It becomes obvious to Ravendea that Reito has always cared for Reiko, and has tried time and time to protect her from the village intent to sacrifice her to the great evil dragon by helping her leave. Yet Reiko has always interpreted this kind of gesture as bullying. Reiko steals a magician's outfit from Reito's home that was supposed to be a gift from him anyway and leaves with Ravendea to go fight the Demon King. Ravendea is surprised that Reiko can make him fly, and in the panic of going directly to the Demon King, Ravendea convinces Reiko to stop over to a nearby town first to gather warriors. Reiko uses clairvoyance to direct them to Paleodona City, and Ravendea hopes he can abandon Reiko there and quietly slip away. However, when they arrive, they see that the city is under attack by flying skeletal demons that have set the entire city on fire. When dozens of flying demons attack our two heroes from the sky, Reiko kills them with a powerful energy blast. The warriors defending the city recognize Ravendea as the feared dragon, much to Ravendea's dismay. Paleodona's General Alliant asks for the dragon's help, and when Ravendea instructs Reiko to defeat all the demons under the guise of training, Reiko annihilates all of them with minimal effort. With his 5,000 years of experience, Ravendea directs Paleodona's army to the monster, controlling all the other monsters and saving the city. That night, Reiko has a dream of her father that upsets her, but she is comforted as Ravendea watches over her in her sleep. As Reiko continues to sleep through the night, Ravendea tries to convince Alliant that Reiko's abilities are her own, and were not given to her by him. Alliant does not believe the dragon, as high-level wizards with the kind of raw power Reiko have are only spoken of in legends, and warns that if it is true that, if Reiko goes down the wrong path in life, she will turn into a true great evil dragon. Ravendea also explains that, contrary to popular belief, he is a peaceful, weak vegetarian. As expected, Alliant does not believe him, and since rumors say that Ravendea was formerly the Demon King's general, Alliant demands to know why Ravendea is opposing his former master. Ravendea insists that all of it is just a rumor, but Alliant attacks him with her sword as she reveals she is the Demon King's loyal servant. As Alliant charges at the panicking Ravendea, Reiko wakes up and blocks the attack. Alliant and Reiko fight each other with their blades, but Reiko gets knocked unconscious. Alliant then goes on to attack Ravendea, revealing that her sword has the magical effect of not physically wounding opponents but only forcing a sensation of pain, and so she slices at Ravendea over and over like torture. As Ravendea begs for her to stop, Alliant reveals that her attacks and declaration that she is working for the Demon King are just to test if Ravendea was lying, and since she is satisfied that the dragon has been telling the truth all along, she stops attacking. Alliant advises Ravendea to continue to let Reiko believe the lie because her reaction would be unpredictable if she stopped having faith in him, and also not to tell anyone that he is a weak dragon because it will attract enemies, making Ravendea realize how dire his situation is. Reiko awakens in a bedroom in the morning, shocked to find his master Ravendea shrunk to the size of a large dog. Ravendia has shrunk because Alliant gave the dragon a potion so that he can easily move around the city, but he lies to Reiko that he has the power to shrink himself, which Reiko believes with no doubt. Meanwhile, as Paleodona City rebuilds from the attacks from last night's skeletal demons, Reiko arrives at the city entrance and is ignored by the busy people while he asks for help to find the great evil dragon and Reiko. The roof stone structure over Reiko almost fell on him, if not for Alliant saving him by stopping the giant rock with one arm. Reiko overhears from the passers-by that Alliant fought on par with the great evil dragon, and so he begs to be her disciple in the hope that he can face Ravendia someday. Alliant agrees and immediately puts him into brutal training. Ravendia is getting hungry while traveling through the forest with Reiko, but he is trapped and unable to eat anything because he cannot reveal his vegetarian diet in front of Reiko. 3 bandits appear in front of them, and when Ravendia realizes they are human traffickers, he orders Reiko to beat one of them up. With the bandits' fear secured, they lead the 2 heroes to where they hide their slaves. Ravendia then orders Reiko to lead the rescued slaves to the nearest town and make sure the bandits go to the authorities while Ravendia stays behind. Ravendia's orders are a ruse so that he can have time alone to find vegetarian food while Reiko is away. The dragon rushes to the cave that the bandits warned him was evil and is immediately confronted by a dark, shadowy spirit. The mysterious spirit ominously tells Ravendia not to flee, but Ravendia does so anyway in fear. Only it turns out that the spirit's words were not a threat but a warning so that the dragon would not accidentally activate the cave's traps, which the spirit saved him from. The spirit turns out to be a friendly person who offers Ravendia a vegetarian feast. He reveals himself to be a god of hunting who is depressed and has no motivation to leave the cave because humankind no longer needs him to teach them how to hunt. Seeing the spirit sad, Ravendia offers to be its student. The moment Ravendia says this, the spirit's slow-spoken and melancholy mood suddenly transforms into a fast-talking, overly eager trainer. Ravendia is put through a series of hunting training exercises, from physical fitness to archery to unarmed combat against a rabbit, only to fail for 8 hours straight due to the spirit's lack of experience training dragons and Ravendia's lack of athletic bone in his body. As the spirit prides himself on being a teacher that never fails, he grants Ravendia a spell to strengthen his claws, then returns to his cave thoroughly depressed, with both promising never to mention their failed training to anyone. Reiko returns, and Ravendia shows how she missed her, only for his mood to fall as Reiko reports she has found a prosperous city called Celian and only protected by a shallow moat, so she demands they capture it for themselves before the Demon King does. Ravendia and Reiko approach the beautiful city of Celian, and Reiko realizes that it is protected by an invisible barrier. The water saint that created the barrier telepathically speaks to Ravendia, threatening the dragon to leave the city. Ravendia tries to convince the water saint that he is a harmless dragon, but the saint thinks she is being fooled and does not listen. As Ravendia and the saint telepathically communicate, Reiko sneaks up on the water saint's physical body under the river and scares her until she runs away and deactivates the invisible barrier. Now able to enter the city, Ravendia and Reiko walk the streets as the terrified people stare. Ravendia convinces Reiko to reluctantly act as an animal trainer with a performing dragon, putting the townspeople at ease. One of the people tells them the history of the city, that it used to be a barren desert centuries ago until the water saint created an oasis, allowing Celian to grow into a prosperous city that is still protected by the saint to this day. Ravendia and Reiko lodge at an inn, and Ravendia convinces Reiko to stay in the inn while he secretly searches for the water saint to clear up the misunderstanding. The saint is so terrified that she keeps hiding in whatever water she can find. But by chance, the thirsty Ravendia who is looking for her keeps trying to drink from the water she is in, so she keeps running. A group of children recognizes Ravendia as Reiko's previously trained animal, and tries to feed the hungry dragon. The water saint, revealed to be a child, comes out of hiding to protect the children she believes Ravendia is trying to eat. The tired Ravendia just wants to go back to the inn, which the saint misinterprets as a deal that if she guides the dragon to the inn, he will not destroy the city. On their way to the inn, Ravendia reminds the scared water saint to get the barrier back up. The water saint walks Ravendia back to the inn, and when Ravendia reminds her to get the barrier back up, the water saint runs in a hurry to do so. Reiko tells her master of her mistrust of the city because they worship the water saint as a god, who she knows is just a demon with water abilities. Ravendia tries to sleep on the floor, so Reiko rests her head beside him so that she won't position herself higher than her master on a bed. outside of Selianen. A true evil dragon loyal to the Demon King looks down on the city as he talks with a shadowy spirit about taking over the city. Morning comes, and a poorly disguised water saint goes to Ravendia and Reiko's room to serve breakfast and subtly urges the duo to leave the city. As the saint serves them rotten fruits and vegetables, Reiko tries to kill her, causing the saint to flee. Seeing the wasted food, Ravendia scolds Reiko for using her power recklessly when it should be used to help others, so he forbids her from using her powers except in self-defense and sends her to play with some children her age outside. While Ravendia is alone in the inn, he tries to find the water saint to clear misunderstandings, only for the water saint to teleport him underwater, for him to drown. Reiko gets confused by the children's description of Ravendia as small and cute, while she sees him as great and powerful, and she becomes convinced they mean another dragon. The evil dragon from before appears in the streets in front of terrified citizens, and Reiko confuses him with the cute dragon the children were talking about and decides to play with him. The evil dragon takes Reiko's invitation to play as a duel challenge and tries to fight her, only for Reiko's playful actions of throwing the dragon repeatedly with limitless strength to be too much for the beast. The shockwaves of the battle reach where the Water Saint and Ravendia are, causing the Water Saint to lose concentration and fail to drown Ravendia. Ravendia is further saved when the strengthened claws he got from the Hunter God become a black mass of energy that lifts him out of the ocean. As the Water Saint continues on the offensive, Ravendia realizes that the Saint is a former ally of the Demon King. The Water Saint tries to finish Ravendia off by constructing a water cage around the dragon to drain out his magic. It drains the spell, keeping Ravendia small, and he explosively returns to his original giant form, sending him and the Saint back through the portal to Selianen. The Saint cries in sadness, thinking she has failed as Selianen's protector, but Ravendia cheers her up by telling her she is a worthy saint through her good deeds. With their warm conversation, the Saint happily recognizes Ravendia as a kind dragon, and as they are about to depart, Ravendia realizes the dragonfly that just landed on the Saint's head is a low-ranking demon. It changes something in the Water Saint as black energy appears around her person. The dark spirit ally of the evil dragon invades the Water Saint's subconscious, reverting her to her water demon persona intent on drowning Selianen and turning it into a swamp. She displays her awesome power by flooding the streets with mud, but the citizens misunderstand her gesture as giving them fertile soil for farming. As the Saint is about to unleash her lethal abilities, Ravendia screams for Reiko, which she hears from a long distance, and quickly returns to her master at super speed, and unknowingly stopping the Saint in the process. The Saint sulks and cries, seeing that the people of the city are not threatened by her, and recounts her story to Ravendia and Reiko of how she used to be bullied by the Demon King's minions for being a weak child. She tried to prove herself by victimizing refugees lost in the desert, but when she intimidated them with rain and mud, people hailed it as a miracle and started to worship her. For centuries, people stayed in the fertile land and water she provided, until it becomes the city of Selianen. Slowly, the Water Saint forgot she was supposed to be a demon and is now crying because she doesn't feel she deserves the people's adoration. Ravendia tells her that what's important is who she wants to be, the destroyer of Selianen or its protector. With this thought, the Water Saint calms back to normal, forcing the evil spirit within her to transfer to Ravendia to expose his evil nature instead in the belief he is powerful. The dark spirit inside Ravendia is trying to bring out Ravendia's evil nature, but to no effect. Seeing the children playing around the Water Saint, Reiko thinks she finally understands why Ravendia sent her to play with other children and mistakenly concludes that Ravendia wanted to make her realize that Selianen is not worthy of Ravendia's rule. As the two heroes are about to depart the city, the Water Saint invites them to stay and attend the coming festival. Meanwhile, the evil dragon that failed to invade Selianen is outside the city, sulking as he is stuck between his desire to destroy Selianen and his fear of Reiko, where he is noticed by a member of the Adventurers Guild who thinks something suspicious is happening. The news of the dragon's defeat in Selianen has reached Paleodona City, where Reiko is continuing his hard training under Alliant to defeat Ravendia. Alliant prepares to go to Selianen to investigate and convinces Reiko to stay and continue training. On the night of the festival, as Reiko buys food, Ravendia sneaks out to get a vegetarian meal, only for sheep to keep eating the grass first. Ravendia's brief selfish thought of wishing to eat all the food is enough for the dark spirit to urge him to give in to selfishness. Ravendia fights the sheep for all the food but returns to normal after they beat him up, much to the confusion of the dark spirit, who thinks the dragon to be powerful. The little girl feeding the sheep promises to find food for Ravendia and the other dragon sulking outside the city. Ravendia now realizes that Reiko's story of playing with a cute dragon before is true. Ravendia meets the evil dragon, still mumbling to himself outside the city. Traumatized after his encounter with Reiko, the evil dragon thinks he is a cute pet ready to play more. The spirit still inside Ravendia transfers to the evil dragon, unleashing the darkness within, transforming him into a raging monster. Ravendia screams for Reiko's help as he is about to be killed, and just like before, Reiko appears at super speed no matter the distance. Reiko battles the evil dragon in a one-sided match, and the spirit realizes it should have possessed Reiko all along. Entering Reiko's subconscious, the spirit finds that the darkness inside her, the traumatic memory of her father being killed by monsters, is so powerful it gets sucked up into it and is devoured. The sudden traumatic memories cause Reiko to unleash a massive magical explosion that is so powerful that she creates a huge crater and destroys the countryside. Alliant arrives just in time as Reiko is slowly turning into a mad demonic dragon who wants to kill the water saint for what she perceives as her continuous disrespect of Ravendia. In the face of overwhelming power, Alliant urges the water saint and Ravendia to run instead of fight. As he runs, Ravendia contemplates that this might be the chance to escape from Reiko once and for all, since her power means no one can hurt her ever again, and yet he cannot bring himself to abandon the girl. He stops running and faces Reiko with a determined look. Determined to not abandon her, Ravendia slowly tries to go near the out-of-control Reiko, only for Reiko to unleash a powerful energy blast against him. Surprisingly, it does not affect Ravendia because Reiko still perceives him as her invincible master, and that means he is immune to her magic attacks, a fact proven by Alliant as she uses the unfortunate Ravendia as a shield. Realizing that this also means only Ravendia can reawaken the girl's humanity, Ravendia, Alliant, and the Water Saint devise a plan for Ravendia to return to his original giant form and be catapulted into the air so he can reach Reiko. Reiko sees the Water Saint near her Dragon Master and goes on the attack that Alliant blocks. As the Water Saint and Ravendia prepare their plan, Alliant distracts Reiko with a sword fight. Now a giant again, Ravendia uses the unconscious evil dragon's usefully shaped wings and the black energy from his claws to slingshot himself at Reiko. As Ravendia reaches her, Reiko remembers a comforting memory of her father from a night when people were calling her a demon. The confused Reiko did not know why people were angry at her, so her father talked and embraced her daughter, telling her that people will keep misunderstanding her, but someday she will meet someone who will understand her. Reiko wakes up back to normal, much to Ravendia's relief. She forces Reiko to apologize to the people for damaging parts of Selianen, to which Reiko agrees. The Water Saint announces that the festival will continue despite everything that happened, and gets jealous that Alliant is hailed as a hero all day for saving them from Reiko's destruction. Reiko and Ravendia volunteer to help with rebuilding the city. As the people all celebrate the festival, Ravendia tells Reiko that if she ever feels like losing control again, she should just think of the precious memories of her father. Reiko promises that she will, and she smiles happily. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this and want to see more, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications on so you never miss a future video. And until next time guys, take care.